Shh, quiet. Do you hear that? Nah, never mind, it was nothing. I've always been a quieter person. Like when I'm in social settings, I just usually don't have that much that I want to say. And for most of my life, I thought that it was this big weakness of mine that was holding me back, holding me back from putting myself out there with women, holding me back from getting respect with other men, just holding me back from success in general. Like the quiet guy doesn't win. He never gets the girl. He's the loser, right? But that is not fully true because us quieter people tend to have an advantage over the louder people. Our mouths are shut, and that gives us more attention and focus on analyzing situations, thinking more, perceiving different things. And that is why I believe the deadliest, most effective men in this world are quiet guys who've simply learned to present themselves in a confident, attractive way. And that, my friends, is the trick. You must learn how to present yourself in an attractive way that does not require you to constantly be talking and say a lot of words. Because let's be real, that doesn't come naturally to us. Number one, change the goal. So y'all know I love to snowboard, and back in university, I actually joined the snowboarding team, which was also kind of like this club that had parties and hung out all the time together. And every time there'd be an event I was about to go to, I would tell myself, okay, the goal tonight is to be cool, to make friends with everyone, and to make sure everyone thinks I'm cool. Because if I do that, then I'll have a chance with hooking up with the cuter girls in the club, and that'll be good. I can't go there and be like a simp. I gotta be cool. And what do you think happened? How do you think that went for me? It went terribly, bro, because I showed up and I was stuck in my head with all this pressure on myself. Like, okay, I got to find my opportunity to say the right thing. Okay, I'm ready. And then I sat there awkwardly in the corner, isolated, like a loser. You have to change the goal. You have to take the pressure off of yourself. Now, when I'm about to go to a situation like this, I'll tell myself the goal is just to show up and hopefully, I can have a couple good conversations with some of the people there. If some people there happen to think I'm a loser, I'm awkward, I'm okay with that. I'm going to accept that ahead of time. But, maybe if I do the right things, the things we're about to talk about in this video, maybe they'll just think I'm that silently attractive guy. Number two, call them out. So a few weeks ago, Julia, my wife, and I, we met up with another couple. We went out on the boats, and Julia knew the girl. I didn't know either of them. And at one point, the other girl was telling Julia, yeah, so there's this thing you can do when you're trying to get pregnant, that if you have intercourse on the third day of your ovulation, then that will basically guarantee that it's a boy. My sister did it, and her friend did it too, and they both have boys. And Julia's like, wow, that's so interesting. And even the other guy's like, damn, really? That's kind of crazy. And it's one of those moments where in my head, I'm sitting there like, this is the biggest bullshit bro science assumption ever. But normally us quiet people, we just kind of keep that thought to ourselves, label it, and move on. Look, bro, if you're not going to say a lot of things, the things you say need to be impactful things. And this is the perfect opportunity to show that you have balls. You actually had a kind of unique thought that went against the grain, and you got to express that to the group. So I'm kind of laying back on the boat. I turn my head and say, y'all are crazy. You got a sample size of 2 girls that have done this. It's a 50-50 chance, and all of y'all are convinced? Y'all are crazy. And of course, everyone laughed. The key is to do this in a playful way, to playfully challenge other people when you call them out. We lightly debated it for a little bit. The point wasn't to prove them wrong. The point is that when you're quiet, you got to make sure that the words that you speak, because there's going to be fewer of them, they have to be impactful. So if you see an opportunity to playfully call someone out, you got to take that opportunity every time. Number 3, choose your frame. So that feeling when you're with a group of people and you can't think of anything to say, and then in your mind you start to label it as, damn, these people probably think I'm a loser. I can't think of anything to say. I wish I could think of something to say. And then you kind of really feel like separated and isolated from the group. You have to catch yourself in this moment and reframe it in your head. In these moments, I'll label it in my head differently. I'll just say, I'm choosing to be quiet and calm. And when I have something to say, I'll say it then. Literally, tell yourself, I'm being the silently attractive guy now. I'm not being the weird loser. It's a simple thing, but it changes how you perceive the entire interaction and will allow you to keep high confidence levels even when you're not talking. You get to choose the story you tell yourself. You might as well choose the story that is empowering to you. Number 4, observe the unique. So a couple weeks ago, Julia and I were in Boston walking down Newbury Street at the end of the night, and we got ice cream at this little ice cream shop. And the girl who's working there scooping the ice cream tells us, and this caught me off guard, she says, "You two look like you met on a reality TV show and you're still together 20 years later." It was like the most unique, I'm not even sure if it was a compliment, it was the most kind of unique observation. And it fucking stuck with me. That girl didn't say another word to us the whole night, but immediately she just seemed, I don't know, I liked her because she observed something very unique and personal to me. So I try and do the same thing. Like last week, I met a new guy who had a full sleeve tattoo, kind of like mine. So I observed it and I said, "Oh man, it's interesting that you have so many tattoos, but you haven't connected them together with shading." I made an observation that was unique to him. And then he opened up and we had a deep, engaging conversation after that. When you meet new people, always just be observing. And when you think of something that's unique about them, just tell them. Even if it's not a question, even if it's not a compliment, just tell them. And that's gonna make this extremely strong impact on them. Number 5, always take the aggressive option. So oftentimes in social scenarios, we come to a branch in the road where there's 2 routes we can take. And usually one of them is a bit more passive or playing it safe, and the other one is a bit more assertive, but it requires a bit more of a risk to be taken. You see a cute girl at the gym, you can either keep doing your workout and do nothing, or you can try and approach her and talk to her. If you're talking to a girl you like, you can either just let the conversation goes where it goes, or you can make sure to ask her if she wants to hang out. When you're on a date with the girl you like, you can either just tell her bye at the end of the night and say you had a nice time, or you could invite her back to your place. So let's imagine you saw that cute girl at the gym and you didn't approach. How do you feel a couple hours later? Are you happy with yourself? Or maybe do you feel a little bit of regret? If you're talking to a really cute girl and you don't ask her out, what does that feel like a few hours later? Good? Or really shitty, like really fucking shitty, wishing that I could rewind time and go back there and just take the shot. At one point, I realized the cheat code to life was just to always take the assertive option. I would rather take the assertive option and do it in a really cringy, insecure way, but still try and ask the girl out, for example, than not to do it and regret it later. I have literally never once in my life regretted taking the assertive option. Because worst case, it still builds confidence and builds this positive feedback cycle where you're more likely now to take the next risk and take the next opportunity. Because think about it, if not, really what you're doing is you're building the habit of always playing it safe. And that is what leads you to being the quiet, kind of loser, awkward, cringy guy with no hoes at all. 0 hoes. Now, real quick, let's keep it real. Let's keep it real for a real quick second. If you're the type of guy that doesn't speak as many words, then it is absolutely fucking critical that you present yourself visually in the most attractive way possible. And unfortunately, style is not something that comes naturally to men. In 2024, most guys I see have like a 4 or a 5 out of 10 style. And this is exactly why back in 2018, I created Edge Lifestyle Clothing to provide men with staple pieces of clothing that are insanely comfortable and help you portray that masculine edge. And luckily for you, the timing is perfect because this week only, we have our once per year annual sale where you can get the biggest discounts possible. I'd recommend you grab a pair of our movement joggers. These are my go-to everyday pants. They're loaded with 4-way stretch for next level comfort, indestructible tear-resistant seams, and they just have that classy fit. Or our premium denim jeans, built-in stretch so your package stays comfortable all day long. And they're available in a relaxed fit, a tapered fit, or with the simple knee ribs. Also, our tech backpack has you covered from the office to the gym. It has a minimal masculine style with built-in compartments for basically everything you could ever think of. And this is probably the only time you'll see our active chinos on discount. These just give you that next level classy style. But because of the insane fabric with built-in stretch, they actually feel like you're wearing joggers. Not to mention you can level up your gym wardrobe with our elite hybrid shorts with a built-in liner and B2 of our enhanced mesh tee, which just makes you look as jacked as possible. All of that and more is on discount now, but do not hesitate because these deals will expire in just 3 days. Just go to edgelifestyle.com or click that first link in description to shop now. The discounts will automatically apply. No code needed. Act fast before I change my mind. Number 6, proper manners. So my mother is from North Carolina, the dirty South, and she raised me always to say, thank you, you're welcome, yes, sir, yes, ma'am, please, all the basic shit that all of us know. And when I was younger, I kind of wanted to be rebellious and not do that. I thought it would be cooler to be a bit like rude to people. But what I've realized is that when you meet someone who has good manners, it's such a small thing, but immediately in my mind, it makes me look at them as a higher value person. Like they just seem like more of a premium person. I look at them more highly than someone who doesn't have good manners. And more than anything, I think that like attracts like. So if you're someone who goes around using good manners, you're a lot more likely to attract other of those higher value people into your life with you. Again, when you don't speak a lot, the few words that you speak tell the story of who you are. You want to make sure you're telling the right story. Number 7, highlight the differences. So I think all of us naturally have this habit that when we're speaking to someone, we're always subconsciously looking for the threads of things that we have in common. Like, oh my God, you used to play Oblivion growing up too? Man, that was the game. What about GoldenEye 007 and Mario 64? You play those too? Because then we can connect on those things and it feels good to make that connection with someone else. Now, I'm not saying not to do that. But what I am saying is if you actually focus on highlighting the differences between you and the person you're talking to, it leaves a much deeper impact and paints you as a much more attractive, confident person. So for example, when I'm back in Boston and realize that I grew up in Boston, so when I'm there and I meet new people, they tend to ask me, oh, do you miss Boston? Yeah, it's such a great city. You must miss it. And rather than being like, yeah, there's really things I like about Boston. I do kind of miss it. I highlight the differences and I say, honestly, I don't miss Boston at all. I think you're crazy for still living in this city, man. It's cold as hell in the winter here. Keep in mind, I'm doing this in a playful way. I'm not trying to create bad blood in the interaction. But how do you think people respond when I do this? Well, there's an interesting thing that when someone pushes you away, you tend to want to pull your way back in. So it's almost like I created a little bit of distance between us and now they're trying to like reprove, no, actually, we can still get along and we're still good. Like, yeah, you're right. It is a bit cold in the winter here. Maybe I should come out and check Texas out. It's probably cool down there. And these things are so crucial to do when you're naturally quiet because people immediately recognize you as, oh, he doesn't fuck around. He's not afraid to call me out and say something. And that is an extremely attractive habit. People like the guy who has balls. People want to be like the guy who has balls. And the beauty is you barely have to say anything at all to demonstrate that. Number 8, remember things. Don't be like Joe Biden. You got to remember things. So 2 days ago, I'm getting my barber, freshly lining up the haircut. And he's talking about, some guy that he was talking to. And he's like, but I told him he's got to go to the Boa restaurant downtown. And that's a restaurant I really like in Austin. And I was like, wait, but you know about Boa? He's like, yeah, bro, you told me about Boa last month. Even I didn't remember that. But the fact that the barber remembered something, so unique about me immediately, it just made me like him more. It made me feel like, damn, this guy really knows me and he really cares about me. He's a cool dude. And that's something I try and always do is call back things that I've talked about with someone before, because those are kind of like inside jokes you and the person have, even though they haven't been established as inside jokes. But when you bring it up, now it's like, hey, me and you are in on this together, even if we don't know each other that much. Or even just thinking right now, there's a guy I know, I don't really know him, but a guy at the gym who I know plays with a local band and does concerts from time to time. So next time I see him, I'm gonna be like, hey bro, how's it going? What's up? You've been crushing any concerts lately? And I know his face is gonna light up. And he's gonna be like, this guy remembers. Number 9, text less, never more. This is maybe the most powerful dating hack in 2024 when most of the communication before the first date happens over text message. And by far the number one mistake guys like us make, guys who are naturally quieter when there's actual conversation, is we maybe overcompensate a little bit subconsciously and send more text because it's almost easier to think of something to say and send it over a text message. Bro, it doesn't work. It never works. It literally never works. You see, with texting, it's a lot more about how you text than what you text. And if you're talking to a girl and you're sending less messages, the communication that's actually happening to her is, oh, I'm not sure if he's interested in me. He seems like he's a busier guy. And that is a human psychological factor that she can't even control. She can't even help herself but want to get to know you better and more because you're holding yourself back on the text messages. Versus if you send a lot of texts or you send longer text messages, it doesn't matter how smooth they are, bro. The communication that she's receiving from all this is that this guy's really, really into me and he's got a lot of free time. And those are not things that are attractive. So basically, be more silent with your text messaging. It's gonna help you out a lot. Like the faster you can ask her, hey, do you wanna hang out sometime this week? And then when she says yes, you just say, cool, what does your week look like? And then she tells you she's free Wednesday or Thursday. Then you just suggest, awesome, let's meet Wednesday night at this restaurant at 8 p.m. I'll see you there. As soon as you start doing that, bro, I promise you, your conversion rate from numbers to dates is gonna go through the fucking roof. Number 10, draw the line. So don't get me wrong, there's times in life where being persistent can help you out. For example, when I identified the gym that I wanted to work at, this luxury gym in Boston, I wanted to be a personal trainer there. I dropped my resume off in person. I called them on the phone. I sent multiple emails. I came back by in person to talk to the manager myself. And ultimately, that's what got my foot in the door. Or if I have a working relationship with someone, let's say someone who's doing some advertising work for me or a lawyer, and I'm still waiting to hear back from them, I'm gonna hit them up and be like, hey, I'm following up on last week. You still haven't gotten back to me. And I'm following up again. But when it comes to meeting new people, you don't want to be persistent, because unfortunately, persistence just makes you look needy, and needy repels people, girls and other guys. So my rule of thumb is this now. When I meet someone new that seems like a cool person that I'd want to hang out with again, I'm going to make one genuine effort to hang out with them. Because let's be real, if you meet a girl, she ain't going to be the one that sets up the date. And even if you meet another guy who could be a business partner or could just be a cool guy to hang out with, he's probably not going to make the effort either. People are lazy. But if I make that effort, I send them the text messages trying to set up the first meeting, and they don't reciprocate, so they're not available, and they don't make an effort to set up a meeting after that, I'm done. I'm out. Not only does this prevent you from wasting time on someone that doesn't want to equally invest into the relationship with you, but it's also very attractive, especially in dating. I can't tell you how many girls I tried to hang out with once, and they gave me the usual flaky shit, and then I just texted them, okay, cool. When you're free, let me know. You wouldn't think that this would work. You'd be like, no, I should probably check in with her again next week because she's not going to get back to me. But when you just give some fucking space and show that I don't chase, I've drawn the line, I'm out, a shocking amount of girls will get back to you and be down to hang out. Number 11, take up space physically. So I have a challenge for you, and that is that next time you're in a social situation, which will probably be like today or tomorrow, I want you to focus only on putting your body in a way that takes up space physically. So if you're sitting down, sat back in a chair like this, your arms wide, your legs a bit open, because what you'll notice, well, first of all, when we're nervous and we're a bit anxious, we tend to close our body into a more protective fetal stance. Maybe not like this, but you're probably a bit tighter and closed in the chest. Your legs might be, crossed more like this. And not only does that allow this more tight body posture to happen, which is going to make you feel even more tight, and your heart rate will probably raise and your blood pressure will go up, but also other people will perceive you as a weaker, less confident man if you're taking up less space, versus when you open up, other people, again, without even thinking about it, they're going to perceive you as, oh, he's very, calm and comfortable in this environment. Back when I was really starting to confront my social anxiety, I would focus exclusively on this when I was speaking with my boss or with women or just meeting new people. And it was kind of that one core habit that I could always have faith that if I just did that right, I would look quietly attractive. I had to have that silent attractiveness. And number 12, start strong. So look, there's plenty of studies, and I mean plenty of studies out there that show within milliseconds of someone seeing you, they've already made up their mind in terms of how attractive you are, how likable you are, how aggressive you are. And they've also done studies that show these first impressions are extremely sticky, meaning that let's say you make a really bad first impression on someone and they think you're kind of a loser. Even if you show yourself to be a really strong, confident guy later on, it's going to be hard for them to change their mind about you. But let's be real. I'm sure you don't need studies to prove this to you. I'm sure you can just look at your own life, look at the last 2 days in your life, and see that this is true. For example, if this is the first video of mine that you've seen, probably as soon as I came on camera, you already kind of made up your minds that, oh, this guy seems like a little douchey. I don't know if I really want to take advice from him. Or maybe you were like, this guy seems relatable and chill. I'm excited to see the video. Hopefully the second one. Now, this is extremely good news for naturally quiet people like us, because this means that if we can just make a strong effort in the first few seconds we're talking to someone, they can already establish us as an attractive person in their minds, even if we go back to our quiet, slightly awkward ways after that. And that's why every single time I meet someone new, I make sure to do 3 things. First of all, strong eye contact as I'm approaching them and talking with them for the first 10 to 20 seconds. Second, I'll try and have a slight smile on my face. Not a big, cheesy, awkward smile, but at least a little grin. They've done studies that show this has a powerful impact on first impression because it shows that you're, happy and content with the people around you, and they tend to mirror that back. And third, if it's a man, I'm gonna give the good old firm handshake. Firm, not trying to break the knuckles. That's weird. And if it's a girl, or at least a girl in a social environment, not a professional environment, I'm gonna go in for a warm hug. And it's important to, if it's a guy or a girl and it's a handshake, to hold the handshake a little bit longer to establish that physical connection with them. And if it's a hug, the same thing. It's a warm hug, held for 2-3 seconds. Boom. Because now, after I've done that, I know that I can be a bit lazy and go back to old quiet David, and I've already, secured the attractive first impression. It takes so much fucking pressure off of you, knowing that that's already locked in. Now, look, if you're serious about taking every aspect of your life to the next level, then you need to watch that video next. That is about the 15 laws of self-improvement. And that's basically the top 15 lessons I've learned transforming my life over the last 10 years, condensed into one single video. Click there to watch it now. If you're new to the channel, click down there because I release 2 new videos every single week. You don't want to miss them. I'll talk to you in the next video. Stay beastly.